Hello, welcome to the United Community Channel. My name is Jack, and this is your latest Manchester United news. It's been a couple of days. Obviously, we didn't get to do a watch-along yesterday for the game, but Manchester United move into the next round of the FA Cup. But I suppose, by all accounts, obviously, I only seen bits and pieces of the game. It was not an overly convincing performance by Manchester United. So we'll discuss that. We're going to talk, as anybody that's watching on YouTube can see, we're going to talk a little bit about who's going to stay and who's going to go. Who would you like to keep at Manchester United and who would you like to move on? Because there's been a lot of talk, over the past 24 hours or so about the lack of character, the lack of quality really within this Manchester United squad. And we will include Erik ten Hag in this as well because, he is coming under some criticism. And look, I mean, I think like anybody, he should not be, he should not be, I suppose, hidden from any criticism because, he is, I suppose, I was going to say at fault, but he is, to be commended when we win, and he's at fault if we lose, and so on and so forth, just like any of the players are. But we'll go down through a list of some of the players, guys, and as well, we'll talk a little bit about the game. Let's talk about the game last night, I suppose, first and foremost. Let me know what your thoughts are in the comment section as well, guys. Please do smash the like button as well if you haven't already done so. It helps the channel out an awful lot. And hit subscribe if you're new to the channel as well. But yeah, I mean, look, I mentioned it in my match reaction video yesterday that, it's job done. And I think it's job done because a cup game is all about getting to the next round, isn't it? You don't get anything extra for playing well. As long as you win the game, you get into the next round. That's what's important. But Manchester United this season are being solely based on their inconsistencies and their performance levels and so on and so forth. And yesterday didn't do anything to, I suppose, increase their reputation in terms of, playing well or playing consistent or just filling us with a little bit of confidence. This Manchester United side now, it just seems to be going through the motions. We can never... I mean, when was the last time we've actually felt confident going into a game? I can't remember, And even yesterday, you're talking about going in and playing against a League Two side. Now, albeit away from home, you got to go and get the job done. United did do that. But I don't think it would have been a shock if Manchester United had lost yesterday. I really don't. And I think that is down to, the inconsistencies we've seen all season, the lack of quality, the lack of hunger, the lack of desire, the lack of a real identity. And, we're going to bring Erik ten Hag into this as well, because a lot of people are questioning, the style of play that he has, and he hasn't developed a style of play. And I can understand where people are coming from. And I think the fact that injuries have played a massive part. I won't deny that. Injuries have played a massive part. But, there is the other argument then as well of, for example, Postecoglou, what he's done at Spurs, where, he comes in and within 6 months he's got them playing a certain way. They get 4, 5, 6 really kind of important injuries. And they don't change how they play. They really don't. Now, we're after seeing Manchester United change. Finn, welcome to the Members Club. Appreciate the support, as always. Guys, anyone else wants to become an official channel member, link is in the description. Finn now has the badge beside his name as well. Appreciate the support, as always, guys. So, yeah, I mean, Erik ten Hag does have to take some criticism here. He really does. And, is he... I have a weird feeling that come the summer, he's going to be moved on. I think Jim Radcliffe coming in, changing everything in the background, in terms of CEOs, bringing in a director of football, a complete clear out. He wants his own people in there. And Ten Hag isn't one of them people. So I wouldn't be surprised if Ten Hag goes in the summer. Now, look, there's an awful lot of football left to play between now and then, and I think he does have. I don't see why we would get rid of him now. I don't think changing the manager now would, make much sense. I mean, who's even available? Jose Mourinho, people will say. But I think the summer is a more realistic target. You will know what's going on. And obviously, we've heard talks about, Thomas Tuchel and Graham Potter and these types of. I mean, look, if Eric Ten Hag was to go, I would be happy with Thomas Tuchel being our manager. But I don't want Eric Ten Hag to go. I want him to be successful at Manchester United. I love what he's. I love the no-nonsense approach that he takes with the squad more than anything else, and with players and the standards he's trying to set. However, you are not judged on standards within the club and within the dressing room and, keeping players on time for training and games. You're judged on what you do on the pitch. And it hasn't been good this season. It really hasn't. So, I mean, look, we look at the summertime, there's potentially going to be managers available. There's talks of Thomas Tuchel. If he doesn't win the league with Bayern, he'll go. Xavi is leaving Barcelona. Mourinho is free. Jurgen Klopp can fuck off. So, you know what I mean? I can understand there's going to be options in the summer more so than now. But Eric Ten Hag has an awful lot of proving to do. He really, really does. Let's see what people think in the comments here. Danny says, another poor performance yesterday. We struggled to beat a second division championship team. That says everything. Clarion says, hi Jack, Rashford has to go. He's never been at United level, and shows how far we have fallen, and that he's called our best player. I'm going to get on to Rashford in a minute, Clarion, as well. Absolutely. Oshin is in as well. Good to see you. Aaron says, even in all, first 15 minutes, I thought it could have been a cricket score. Then once again, they stopped pressing, etc. First goal was unstoppable, but then we played an hour of nothing, really. We tend to have that lack of know-how and the lack of, I suppose, awareness to know when a team is down and just go and put your foot on their throat, and finish them off. I think there's a real lack of what's the word? There's a real lack of probably know-how from this team to go on and finish other teams off, and we've seen it consistently over the last few years where, and especially in Eric Ten Hag's reign, in fairness, where we might have a good first half, a good second half, but we can't put a good 90 minutes together, let alone put a good 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 games together. So that's something that really does have to improve. Oshin says, I seriously think Eric Ten Hag is on borrowed time. If all reports are to be believed, Radcliffe doesn't want him, so he's not doing himself any favours. Are you just stopping short of saying Eric Ten Hag out? I'm not saying Eric Ten Hag out. I'm not. I want Eric Ten Hag to be successful. I want him to be the Manchester United manager. But he has to improve. He has to get more out of this team. He has to get them more consistent. That's his job. Not to try and sound like Roy Keane, but that's his job. He has to get more out of this Manchester United team. And if he doesn't, he's going to pay the price. He really is. Aaron says, I agree, Oshin. I've always been Eric Ten Hag in, but now with the changes and the fact he isn't really making any changes to the game, makes his head on the block. Changes upstairs. But yeah, I mean, Chris says reboot everything. Oshin says, the way you're describing him, he's a director of football, not a coach or manager. Look, I mean, he has to get more out of these players. I think bringing in a director of football and a sporting director and the CEO and having that structure there, I think will take a lot of the pressure off of him, when it comes to the likes of transfer windows and trying to identify players and so on and so forth. But I don't think any of us will disagree on the fact that he hasn't got the best out of this side, out of these players. He hasn't. Now, of course, there is an argument to say what manager would. And I can completely understand that as well, because I don't think we've got quality, So there is a balance that we have to, is it a clear out of the squad? or is it get rid of the manager, bring in a new one? I worry that it's going to be both. I think we do need to clear out the squad, and we'll get into who we would keep and sell in a few minutes. Ben says, I would love to go watch a training session with these players we have. Chris says, send out Rashford, Sancho, Anthony, Martial, Maguire, McTominay, Varane, Dalot, Shaw, Casemiro, Ericsson, and sell Bruno while he still has value. There we go. No messing about there. Finn says, we need to do better background checks on new players. How did Sancho get bought from all the terrible attitude talk pre-United? Yeah, look, that's a previous regime, and I think that's something we will probably improve on now under the likes of Jim Ratcliffe. Chris says, we don't play as a team, a bunch of individuals. Oshin says, everything you're saying there, lack of killer instinct, lays at the manager's door. Yep. We have no style of play, says Chris, shades of Ollie. Aaron says, in all fairness, even if he got the best out of the players, is their best good enough? Personally, I don't think so. And Finn then says, this must be close. We can get to a rock bottom. New manager, new backroom, new board, new stadium, new squad. It's a shocking mess. It is. And, 18 years, 19 years, nearly 20 years of mismanagement by the Glazers is now catching up on us. It really, really is. We've bought poorly. We don't improve players that come to the club. And sorry, no, just check on the little one here. Just give me 1 sec, guys. Be back in 1 sec. Just want to get the little one. She's a bit upset. Sorry about that. Little missus had to go to the bathroom. But yeah, look, I mean, people have mentioned Rashford there. I want to talk a little bit about Rashford here as well, because obviously there's been a lot of talk about him over the last couple of days, and hasn't been too professional by the looks of things. And yeah, I think it's a massive shame with Marcus Rashford. I think he's thrown away an awful lot of his career by. Now, I don't want to say he's not professional. I don't, because I think he is, and every player has their moments throughout their career where, they might make a bad decision or so on and so forth. And look, he certainly made a bad decision this week by, going out on Thursday night and then not coming into training on Friday morning. Inconsistencies with Rashford, again, is absolutely, I suppose, at the pinnacle of his career. It hasn't, we've been inconsistent this season with Manchester United, but Marcus Rashford has been inconsistent his whole career. He really has. I like Marcus Rashford. I want nothing more than him to be, one of the best players in the world. But I don't think he's ever going to get to that level. I just don't. He can have his seasons where, like last year, he gets 30 goals. And this year, he just looks a shell of himself. He's a confidence player. I think he thrives off of confidence. And I think if his confidence is low, he doesn't have the mentality to pull himself out of it. I don't think he's a smart player. I think his decision making is poor. He runs into dead ends. Yeah, there's a lot to I suppose discuss when it comes to Marcus Rashford, both positive and negative. But I mean, I've certainly been disappointed. And look, Eric Ten Hag, people are saying, is there an issue there in the background now? And what did Marcus Rashford actually go out or whatever the scenario was? And Eric Ten Hag was asked in his press conference, and he said, I will deal with it. I'm dealing with it. Now, if there wasn't a problem, he wouldn't have said that. He would just have said, no, there's no issue. No, there's no issue. No problem. The fact that he said, I'm dealing with it, means that there is something going on in the background. Reports today have suggested he's going to be fined, I think, 260 grand or something like that, I think, is it? Or 360 grand. Something, a big fine regardless. I think a week or two's wages, whatever that might be, maybe 700. I'm not sure. But he's a problem at the moment. He really is. He's a problem at the moment. And I think the lack of professionalism that he showed this week, it just goes to show where he's at in his career at the moment. It really, really does. Look, we're going to jump in and do a bit of keep sell here. And obviously I want you to, do your, because look, there hasn't been an awful lot of, transfer talk so far. And obviously the transfer window is closing on Wednesday as well. So we're going to do a bit of keep sell and see what you would like to do. Let me know in the chat as we go down through it as well. Let's get through the last few of these comments here. Danny says, 18 months in charge, still no style of play, no identity, no nothing. He doesn't have a clue what he's doing. And the fact he keeps playing Scott McTominay and Anthony sums up Eric Ten Hag. Well, look, I don't think Anthony would have played yesterday if Marcus Rashford didn't have the incident that he had this week. Aaron says 100% it can, but Fergie was one of a kind. Let's hope we can go again. The changes upstairs can only be positive. Let's hope it doesn't take too long to filter down to the pitch. Aaron says it has been a long 10 years. Sir Alex Ferguson worked miracles for 7 years under the Glazers. Chris says, I would love to keep Bruno, but let's be realistic. He's older and probably doesn't want to go through a rebuild. Rashford's attitude and behavior stinks, says Danny. This year he thinks he's bigger than the club, so he thinks he can do what he likes when he likes. He's so highly overrated, and if he was at any other club, he'd be gone. Oshin says Rashford was ill Thursday morning. He had no intention of ever going to train on Friday. Joke. Chris says piss on Rashford, shows he doesn't care. Sell him or loan him now. Apparently this all stems from Sancho. Him and Rashford are buddies. Her 2 weeks wage is 650,000 pocket change. Yeah, it is pocket change, isn't it? yeah, I mean, if Marcus Rashford doing things like this is down to Jadon Sancho, then fuck him out of the club as well, because again, we're trying to clear, or cleanse the squad of these kind of mentality, fairies, and yeah, allowing him to dictate when he doesn't train, I think is is not the way forward. Anyway, look, let's talk about keep and sell. Okay, we're going to go down through the squad here. Obviously, we'll start with the goalkeepers. Now, look, Altay Binder, again, he only signed this year as well. He's basically been signed as the backup goalkeeper. Now, he done okay, last night in the FA Cup by all accounts. I don't think he could have been blamed for any of the goals. So, yeah, I mean, he's a keep for me. Tom Heaton, I mean, yeah, a third choice goalkeeper. I think he could easily be a Premier League goalkeeper for, a bottom half of the table club. But the big one here is Andre Onana, and I'd like to know what you think about. For some reason, I think why does it look like he's got a Liverpool scarf hanging in the background? It's something IVER. It just looks like a Liverpool scarf. But yeah, I mean, Andre Onana is a big talking point on whether you would keep him or not. A lot of people think we should move him on. And look, it's not unrealistic for goalkeepers to move 12 months after they sign. We've seen Pep do it at Man City. I know maybe Ramsdale could have potentially moved on. He's been there a couple of years. But I think I would keep Andre Onana. I think he's got the type of mentality that we need within the squad. He has had a very difficult start to his Manchester United career, and he does need to improve. But I would be keeping all three of them goalkeepers, to be honest. I don't see any reason for changing it. Let's see what people think about the goalkeepers. Keep all the keepers, says Oshin. Ben says the same. Chris says sell Onana. Okay, there we go. First person to think he should go. Danny says I'd sell Onana. He's not good enough to be the number one at United. He can't save anything with his hands, only his feet. Plus, he has cost us so much in his time at the club. And Aaron says we have to keep all three. Onana still has to prove himself, but De Gea did but De Gea did at the start of his career. Yeah, look, I mean, Andre Onana has got 18 months. Basically to prove himself. If he has another season next year like he has, if he continues this run of, poor performances or inconsistent performances between now and summer 2025, then I would probably say move him on then. But for now, I'm going with keep. Moving it into the defense then. First of all, let's talk about Victor Lindelof. So obviously, I think he has got a contract extension. So I think his contract runs out in 18 months' time. So Manchester United, do we keep him until summer next year, or do we try and move him on this summer and get some money in? Victor Lindelof is it's a strange one for me, and it's a kind of a decision that I think it's a hard one to make, because you don't want to lose him for free in the summer of 2025. However, he is one of them players that you can use sparingly throughout the season. He doesn't, give out too much about being a squad player. Plays maybe every fourth or fifth game. Brilliant. So I would probably say keep Victor Lindelof as a squad player, as a backup. Harry Maguire then is the next one. Look, we know Manchester United tried to get rid of Harry Maguire last summer. Erik ten Hag wanted him out. And in fairness to Maguire, the one thing I've always said about him is that he's a good professional. He's a good professional, not in terms of quality, but in terms of just being a pro. He puts his head down, he works hard, he doesn't seem to give out too much, to be honest. Now, during the summer, I was giving out stink that he wouldn't leave because he was staying for a paycheck and so on and so forth. And I do still believe that may be the case. However, he has put his head down, worked hard, and tried to get back into the team. And he done that. And he had a very, positive run of games before he got injured. Before Christmas. So, but look, Harry Maguire is not good enough to get Manchester United, back to winning Premier League titles. I'm convinced by it, and I don't need anyone to try and convince me otherwise. And he is probably one of the players that we could realistically sell and get some money in the door for. We go back to what we've said previously. Manchester United need to improve an awful lot in selling as much as they do on identifying and buying good players, because FFP is a real issue now. And I think Harry Maguire is the type of player that we could realistically get maybe 25, 30 million for, I think. I don't think it would be over the top to think we could get that kind of money for him, given, the good run of games he's had. Lisandro Martinez is an obvious one. That's a keep. He's, he's probably been our best player this season, and he's been injured for the majority of it. That goes to show. Terrell Malacia, I would keep him. I think it's a tasty little bit of business, I won't lie. Not a world beater by any stretch of the imagination. However, for 15 million pounds, I think he is a good, solid left backup to Luke Shaw. So I would keep him. Next on the list, then we've got Rafael Varane. Look, there's been interest in Varane from Saudi Arabia. United want to extend his contract, but they don't want to extend his current contract, but they want to offer him a new one on reduced terms. And if he doesn't do that, he is going to be allowed to leave on a free in the summer, I would say. I would like to see him stay. Obviously, I would like to see him on reduced terms because, he's on massive money. However, him staying would be a rotation player. I still think we need to go into the market and buy. So I would keep Varane for, and it's all well and good saying, he's old, sell him. He's old, sell him. He's too old, sell him. If you're talking about Varane, Casemiro, Bruno, whoever it may be, you need some experience in your dressing room. You can't have a dressing room full of, players between the ages of 19 and 23. You just can't. You need some older heads in there. So for that reason alone, I would keep Varane. Diogo Dalot, I would sell. I don't think he's up to it. And again, he's probably a player you could get some half-decent money for. You could get maybe 25 million for him, I would expect. It is an area that we're looking to probably improve in the summer. There's been some reports already about improving the right-back slot. So I would sell Diogo Dalot. I don't think he's up to it. I think he's inconsistent. He's got passion and desire and gives his all. But I just don't think he's, again, I go back to, I'm going to say this an awful lot throughout this segment. Is Diogo Dalot a right back that's going to be in the team that wins you a Premier League? I don't think he is, and I think that's what we need to go off of here. Let's see what some people are saying here before we move on. Chris says, sell Shaw, Maguire, Lindelof, Varane, Evans, Dalot, Aaron Wan-Bissaka, keep Martinez. Oshin says, £15 million, buy a buddy for Martial in the treatment room. Aaron says we should never get rid of David De Gea. Number one, skill for goalkeepers is saving. I'm old school if this is paying out from the back. Finn says the team needs that much surgery. We could end up like Chelsea, buying in too many and back to square one. It'll take a few windows to clear out the wrong'uns. Yeah, I agree. Absolutely. I agree. Oshin says Varane, Dalot, Shaw might get money for. Sell Aaron Wan-Bissaka. Danny says, I keep Varane, but something tells me he's going to leave. Dalot, I'd sell and keep Aaron Wan-Bissaka. Keep Shaw, Aaron Wan-Bissaka. So Luke Shaw then is next. I would keep Luke Shaw. I think on his day, I hate using that word because I hate using that sentence, on his day, he's a brilliant footballer, because it just protrudes inconsistencies, that sentence. On his day, he is one of the best left backs in the world. But how often, how many times is he on his day? But look, I mean, I would keep Luke Shaw. However, in the next couple of years, I think it is an area that we will have to go and look to improve. I really do. I don't think it's an area of concern at the moment, but I would be looking in the next 2 or 3 years to actually, right, let's look at long term that left back and who can we get in that can potentially replace him. Aaron Wan-Bissaka I would keep. I like Aaron Wan-Bissaka. He's an old school defender, no nonsense about him. Just goes, gets his job done, puts his head down, works hard. You never hear anything from him. He doesn't do interviews, doesn't do anything like that. I like that from a footballer, because your job is to play football, and he does it. He would be a backup right back, though. I still, like I said, think we need to go into the market and actually sign a world-class right back, because it is an area that we are lacking in at the moment. So 2 left then in defence. Johnny Evans, I would keep Johnny Evans for his presence in the dressing room alone. He's a Manchester United player through and through. He got plenty of experience. You could keep him. We got him on a free. I wouldn't say his wages are even, remotely a concern to Manchester United. I would keep him. I would give him another 12 months, keep him in around the dressing room. And he's probably been our best centre-back this season. Well, he's up there with one of our best centre-backs this season. He's played really well when he's been called upon. So I would keep Johnny Evans. Yep, I would keep him. I'm not keeping him as our starting centre-back, but you need depth in your squad, so I would keep him. And then Willie Kambwala, I keep him. I think he's a good young prospect. Obviously, he's played a few times so far, and I think he's one for the future. And I think hopefully we can get some more game time into him. Into the midfield then, Sofian Amrabat. Look, he's not going to stay. I don't think he should. I don't think he's good enough. If he was happy to be a backup to whoever is the defensive midfielder, then great. But yeah, I would be selling. Well, I wouldn't be selling because we haven't bought him. He's on loan. I wouldn't be taking up the option to buy him in the summer. Yeah, and he looks to have before he went to AFCON, he looked to just have disappeared off the face of the planet. Ten Hag wasn't picking him in his squad, starting 11, whatever the case may be, which was strange given the fact that he was chasing him for so long in the summer. So yeah, I think his time at Man United is going to be very short. Mason Mount, I would keep. Look, he still has an awful lot to prove. He really does, and he's going to be under the microscope when he does come back from this injury, because the start of his Manchester United career hasn't been, overly enthralling, to be quite honest. So, yeah, but I would certainly keep him. Bruno Fernandes, I would keep, absolutely keep. I think, look, he's the captain of the club. He's been our best player since he signed at Manchester United on a consistent basis. I would keep him. I don't know if giving him the captain's armband was probably the best idea. I don't know if you could change that again. If a new manager comes in, I think it's a prime opportunity to just go to Lisandro Martinez. There's the armband. You will never not have that until the day you leave the club. But I would certainly keep Bruno. I really would. Christian Eriksen, sell. I think he hasn't got the legs anymore. Really love him as a footballer. I think he's silky smooth, one of them creative players. I think, but no physicality and no legs. And you need to have both of them playing centre midfield for Man United in the Premier League week in, week out. And he just hasn't got. We got him on a free. We will probably get a little bit of money for him if he's sold. So I would move him on in the summer, Christian Eriksen. Ahmad, then I would keep him. Obviously, young prospect. Looks like a decent young player and still has time in front of him to go on and progress and so on and so forth. So I keep him. Casemiro, I would keep Casemiro for one more season. So I would. However, this is not, to keep him as our main defensive midfielder. I would still like us to go out into the transfer market and get a 60 to 70 million pound 23, 24-year-old who can play that position, and then be the main DM, and Casemiro then, again, being a little bit of that experience in the dressing room. So I would keep him. And Pellistri, then, to be honest, I would probably sell Pellistri. And I know it sounds a bit harsh, obviously, because he's one of the players that came through the academy. I just don't think he's up to it. I don't think he has what it takes, to bring United to the next level. So I would move him on, get some money in for him if you can. And obviously look to reinvest it. Let's see what people are saying here. Amrabat was a crazy signing, injured, then AFCON. Keep Mount, sell Fernandes and sell Eriksen, says Oshin. Chris says keep Amrabat and Menu. Danny says Amrabat not good enough. Mount I'd sell, he's injured too much. Bruno I'd keep. Eriksen I'd sell. Chris says sell Mount, Eriksen and Bruno. Sell Casemiro as well. Finn says, I'd cash in on Mount if the money is right. Can't see what he brings to the party. Sell Bruno while we can, says Chris. Danny says, Ahmad, I'd keep Casemiro, I'd keep Palestri, I'd keep Donny van de Beek, I'd sell. Yeah, I'd sell Donny as well. Right. Kobe Mainoo, I think, is the easiest one. Of the next two are the easiest two of all. Kobe Mainoo, keep. By far our best midfielder at the moment. Absolutely keep him. A gem. He is probably already a 60, 70 million pound player, and he's played, 10 games for us? He's going to be unbelievable. Scott McTominay, sell, double sell. Sell him as quick as you possibly can. Get as much money in as you possibly can. And bye-bye, Scott. You're not good enough. See you later. I think I don't have anything against him. He looks like a really good guy, and a proper pro, puts his head down, works hard, plenty of passion and desire and so on and so forth. No quality. So I would sell Scott McTominay. We've got Dan Gore, then obviously we'll keep him, young prospect. Hannibal is out on loan as well. I would sell Hannibal as well. I think he's another player that you can get some money in for. He seems to have a bit of it. He's having a bit of issue on loan at Sevilla at the moment. I think reports he fell out with a player, got into a bit of a scrap with him. So he's not going to be involved in any of the match day squads for the foreseeable future, which is not good from a Manchester United standpoint. But I would probably sell him. I don't think he's good enough. Forwards then. This is going to be an easy enough one. Anthony Martial, I can't wait for him to leave. I really can't. I think he's one of the biggest wastes of a contract. Why he got a contract extension, I'll never know. He's now gone for surgery, so he'll be out for 10 weeks just to get into the summer transfer window so he can leave on a free and get a big payout for the next club he goes to. Sell. Marcus Rashford. This is an important one now, because, and it's going to be one that we're probably going to be debating about. But Marcus Rashford, some people will say keep, some people will say sell. For me, if the offer was right, I would sell him. I would sell him. I don't think the consistency levels again are there with him. He's been lacking a bit of professionalism this week as well. So I would move Marcus Rashford on if we could get, if we got an offer of 80 or 90 million, I would take it. I would just take it and move him on. I really would. Rasmus Højlund keep, Alejandro Garnacho keep. They're pretty easy. And then this guy down the bottom, sell. Anthony, move him on as quickly as you possibly can. Money badly spent. Cash in before you lose any more money, because if we got 30 million for him in the summer, I would sell him. I just would. Even his celebration yesterday annoyed me. You know what I mean? Drinking a cup of tea. You're playing against a League Two side. You know what I mean? I would sell him. Shola Thierry, I don't really mind. I don't know. I haven't seen enough of him to know whether he's good enough or not. Jadon Sancho, sell for obvious reasons, and Mason Greenwood, sell for obvious reasons. But two players that you could potentially get a lot of money in for as well. So yeah, I mean, there's a lot of selling there. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. That's 14 players that I wouldn't want at Manchester. Not that I wouldn't want. I don't mind if they're still here. But if I had the option, 14 players I would move on out of the squad. I think, to be honest with you, I don't think that's being too sensationalist by any stretch of the imagination. I think if you talk to a lot of Manchester United fans, they would more than likely, now they might differ on one or two, but I think the majority of them would probably have a similar enough number in terms of players they would end up selling. But yeah, it's going to be a long second half of the season, I have a feeling. But we're going to be here for the whole lot of it anyway. So please make sure you are sticking around, guys, as well. Again, it's great to have football back. We're playing Wolves on Thursday night now in the Premier League. Yeah, I mean, I look forward to every Manchester United game with the optimism that maybe this is the game now that we will, turn the corner and start, putting in good performances. Hasn't happened as of yet consistently, but let's see what happens. Billy says Anthony and Rashford to go and sell them for 299 million and 600 million and 800 million pound salary. Let's see. Sell all but Highland and Garnacho, says Chris. Finn says sell the shit out of Rashford. Gives a terrible example to everyone else if he's kept. Oshin says bye-bye Anthony. Danny says Anthony sell. Sancho sell. Greenwood sell. Sen says hi Jack. Love the lives. How are you today, mate? Good man. Thanks for joining. Appreciate it as always. Finn says potentially how many good players could we get in the window? 2 if lucky. That's 7 windows. I know. You would hope that we can get more done now with, proper people in the background doing proper work. If it's Dan Ashworth, if it's, Barada, Phil, Paul Mitchell, so on and so forth. You would hope that we could, try and get maybe 4 or 5 players in. I don't know. If we lose Thursday, Eric Ten Hag will get the backing of the board. Yeah, that's not good. Usually when you get the backing of the board, it's the beginning of the end for you. But yeah, let's see what happens. But guys, look, please do send me in your clips for Thursday's game as well. Anybody that wants to be part of our match build-up video, send me your 60-second match preview video. You can send it to me on Instagram. If you want, you can DM it to me. But the easiest way to get it to me would be to email it to me, unitedcommunitychannel@outlook.com. Yeah, so just give me your match preview, your score prediction, starting 11, whatever you feel you like to do. And we'll put them all together and use it as our match build-up video. It's a chance for you guys to get on screen and to be part of the channel as well, because I want to make it as interactive a channel as I possibly can. So if it's something you want to do, get me your 60-second. It doesn't have to be exactly 60 seconds. It could be 90 seconds, but, try not to, let it maybe run over 2 minutes. But get them to me. I'll put them all together then, and we'll have it uploaded then on Thursday evening, maybe an hour or 2 before the game, getting everybody's opinion and kind of getting excited for the match. But look, again, I'll be back tomorrow night, guys, from 8 o'clock. Please do smash a like on the video. Hit subscribe if you're new to the channel. We're on the road to 7,000 subscribers. Less than 80 to go before we hit 7,000. Trying to hit 10,000 before the end of the season. So anybody watching on TikTok, if you haven't subscribed to the YouTube channel, please do. Link is on my homepage. You'll see the YouTube button there. Just click it, hit subscribe. Helps us out an awful lot. But thanks for watching, guys. I'll be back tomorrow from 8. As always, have a great evening, and I'll chat to you tomorrow. Take it easy.